Good morning.
We're back.
All right, so before I forget, yesterday we chatted about scaling. Today we're also chatting about scaling. If you have any questions with regard to scaling your business or you need to scale your business, go to talkwithbecky.com. We wanted to finish up yesterday's conversation, Eric did anyway, with regard to what the next step is or what the problems are sometimes with scaling, because we actually worked with a client with regard to when that scaled their business and it sort of started to tank. And then they came to us and we intervened.
Right. Well, are we talking about the second client or the one from yesterday where...
No, well, the one from yesterday, I think it was a good comparative, because the one from yesterday is
when you have to scale.
He's ready to scale, has to scale, has to figure it out. And then the other one is in the same exact industry, 25 years in the industry.
In essence,
it has scaled to success, but
now there's issues in regards to his system now that he's scaled the business. It's pretty much the number one problem that not just this particular client has, but all clients. It's something we see all the time.
Right, so the first guy basically either has to scale to grow, or he's got to pull himself back because he's missing the boat right now. And what's happening is this: he has to make a decision quickly, because if you're ready to scale, if you've hit the ceiling and now it's like, sink or swim, the problem is this: if you don't jump and start to scale that business, you're going to lose business, because your reputation will start to slide because you're not serving the client, you're not producing the way you used to produce because you're at max capacity. So you either have to pull yourself back or you have to scale up. And that's a critical decision, and timing is also crucial.
Yeah, and also the money's sufficient to scale properly as well.
Right. But the other person who's 25 years in, he had to hit a brick wall, realizing that, okay, he scaled his business, he's earned hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars this way.
Or more.
Or even more, millions. And what happened was, though, there's flaws in the scaling of the system. So now what we discussed also, or I've discussed in previous video content, is that when you have a product or service and it becomes your cash cow, which means you scaled it and now it's like skyrocketing, once that starts to plateau or start to dip, that's when you really have to, when it starts to plateau, you definitely are on it. When it starts to dip, all bets are off. You have to really look into
when it's happening, and then also address it prior to it hindering the business. Because what happens a lot of times is people aren't willing to change or look at their particular system, make those changes, and then it just escalates in them slowing down. Old school versus new school concept in some cases. And the issue there is now they lose interest in their business because all of a sudden it's not growing. People's perception of who you are as a business owner, it may be diminished. So what happens at that point is a lot of times it escalates into that person not having that passion in his business anymore, and then it even goes further downhill from there.
Well, because mindset is everything.
It's it.
And so if your mindset isn't on point, how can the business be on point? How can your team be on point? How can your product or service be on point? It can't. It unfortunately just can't. So but I think that with knowing a couple of different things, if you will, like when to scale, how to know if scaling needs to be tweaked. Like there's different signs and signals that come at you. So first is if you're looking to scale, because now you're running in circles. You're kind of like, I got to do this. I have to do this. There's not enough time for this. Whatever. Now I know that that's normal in an entrepreneur's day, in a business owner's day. But when you're doing all of that and you're still failing at it, like where you're not satisfying clients, the product isn't being shipped timely, the service isn't being completed timely or as promised. Now you have to start to take a look at scaling. If you're already scaled the business and you're there again, that is amazing news. You want to know why? Because it means you hit the next plateau. You hit the next ceiling. So now you have to scale again. Or you have to look at what in my scaling right now just needs to be tweaked a little in order to satisfy the influx of my business, which happened to this other person in the same exact industry.
Yep. In his particular case, it's team management. In other words, he is, and it's a good system. It's
a great concept.
He's more or less the rainmaker.
Brings it in. He just brings it in.
And then he has his team that, pretty much does the selling. But the problem in this particular case is he didn't train the employees correctly or strong enough to his level, his caliber. Because a lot of times business owners are resistant to do that, think of the fact that they train their employees to their particular level, that they're going to go leave them and go do it on their own. And why do they need, that particular person?
And I have so much to say about that.
But there's a lot.
But that's a different
of ways
video.
You can protect against
that's
that.
That's a team video. But there are ways to protect against that. But that goes into sharing the vision. That goes into emulating what it is that you want from the team. So I think what happened there is he does have a little bit, because we heard from team members, sidebar, and there's a little bit of frustration there, which I think is what starts that breakdown. So it's something where you take a look at scaling and you say, where's the breakdown in the system right now? Because you know that I operate everything through systems. It's just how my brain
creates efficiencies.
Yeah, it's just how my brain thinks, is through systems. Chaos. It's I don't function well in chaos.
Creates overwhelm.
Basically what I do in chaos is try to create a system to eliminate the chaos, but no matter when it hits me. But I'm always kind of thinking I could do this better. I cannot have chaos all over me. But even when my kids clean their room, I'm like, there's no system here. And they laugh at me. They're like, Mom. But I feel like when you look at systems that were working and all of a sudden there's a breakdown, once you find the breakdown, that's your tool to make it better, to make it stronger, to change it, and then to implement it, and then to reevaluate somewhere down the road. Thank you, Trish. I'm glad I am not the only one. But I mean, when you can look at it from two different perspectives, because a lot of times businesses think, well, I scaled the business, so I should be all set. No, you're not.
That's when it starts.
That's just when it starts. Exactly.
You got to keep tweaking. And this particular person that we're speaking about, this client, now the issue there is that the team needs to be brought up to a specific level. So in other words, there has to be more discussion and training in relation to how to sell. There has to be training in regards to communication with the customers. So there's all these little things that are in between to make sure that customer service is up there, that the sale process is correct, and that it still mirror images what the owner wants it to be.
And honestly, this came to fruition with this person because we utilized their services, and we had a sense of frustration going through the process. But it wasn't to the point where we were going to walk, but given what we do and we can't shut it off, we were like, hey, by the way, just so you know, from our perspective to you, here's what we sent. Here was the touch point of us as a consumer of your service. And maybe going forward, because we understand it, we're not all that bothered by it, but maybe going forward, you may have other issues with this. So it might be something you want to tweak. And, here's where we see that it could get a little better. Just give him some suggestions. And we actually talked to him the other day, and he was like, by the way, I thought about what you said, and I think I'm actually going to do that. I think I'm going to do that with my team and assign them to do this, whatever, and see if that can't help make it better. Now, he's not even a client. It was just friend to friend, a little tip, little suggestion.
This other person, yeah.
Why? Because we love business, and we certainly honor business entrepreneurs for being courageous and being strong and being those people that put themselves out there. So we want to help when we can. That's what we do, especially at talkwithbecky.com. We literally roll up our sleeves with you, the business owner, to help you, the business owner.